again, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and get started again. My name is Bill Lindsay, Richmond City Manager. And even though there is somebody talking to a microphone, you should feel free to go back and get food and enjoy it. I want to welcome you to our second community workshop on the Richmond Promise program. You'll be hearing a lot about it this evening. Some of you may have attended the last workshop, and we will we'll build on that a little bit, but for those of you who didn't go to the workshop, you'll still have the same opportunities to comment on some of the different attributes that we're very interested in about which we're very interested in hearing from you. Vice Mayor Myrick is on his way, so I'm going to change the agenda a little bit. And at the last workshop, we had an introduction by a recent college graduate, and that really set the tone, we thought, for the discussion later on that evening. And so once again, we have a personal testimony that we're going to hear. This is by Jackie Fan, who's a recent graduate with a Bachelor of Arts degree in Human Development and a minor in Global Health from UC San Diego. So just last month, a graduate, and also a graduate of the West Contra Costa School District. She told me not to say anything about her because she's got a lot of stuff she wants to tell you about herself. So without further ado, let me introduce Jackie Fan.
Good afternoon, my name is Jackie Fan, and I'm an alumni from Pinole Valley Heights, class of 2011. I also recently graduated this past Sunday from the University of California, San Diego, and received my Bachelor of Arts in Human Development and with a Global Health minor. And I was the first in my family to go to college. I'm also currently an intern for the City of Richmond City Manager's Office through the Health Career Connection, where I hope to further understand health policy and plan to get my master's in public health. However, as I reflect back onto my college experience, I'm always reminded of how painful and long this journey was to receive higher and affordable education. When I first got to UCSD, I felt different because not only was I the only one from my high school to attend UCSD that year, but it was hard to find people that looked like me and shared common struggles with me of accessing and affording higher education. My parents who immigrated to the United States so their children could have a better future absolutely did not understand the process and culture of what it means to have an affordable higher education. It was always, oh, just ask your counselors, or you can pay it through with loans. But how does one get all this information if you don't know where to look for that information first? Or if you're the first to pave the way for yourself? For me, I felt the culture when I attended high school was that you had to have personal motivation and drive to find the information yourself. There was not a reinforcing positive culture of, oh, we can all go to college, rather only a select few can go. In fact, I remember my high school experience in college preparation where there was only one college counselor that served the entire student population that would only come in on Thursdays of that week. I remember I would only get 10 to 15 minutes at most of their time when no students were asking. If I could go back to my high school experience, I wish I told myself and everyone to start planning early, save up, and look for those opportunities to pay for that $20,000 debt that I now have after graduating from college. I wanted to be back in the city of Richmond because I want to give back to my community and help create change by getting students into higher education. For the class of 2016 and beyond, I want y'all to know that your struggles to higher education are beautiful and unique. And no matter how ugly it is, it can also be very empowering. By coming back to my city and learning what strides have been made, especially towards education equity and funding and accessing for higher education, I truly wish I was in this era now, because this scholarship will make a huge difference in changing and empowering lives. With that, I want to validate each and every one of you for coming out tonight, for shaping the Richmond Promise. Thank you.
Thanks very much. And I wanted to just comment, on your way in the door, you probably saw several young people that were helping with agendas and sign-ups, and we're very fortunate in that we have, in addition to Jackie, who's an intern in the city manager's office, we have several AmeriCorps people who will be with us for a year, and they are also graduates of the West County Unified School District and Richmond residents, and also it's really great to hear that these are people who want to come back to Richmond because they want to help shape its future, and I really do appreciate them. So they're at the front door. On your way out, congratulate them and thank them for helping out and for wanting to see the best for Richmond's future. So let me start out just with a little bit of background on what we're going to do. First of all, what I want to really start out by saying is that we're still in the design phase of the Richmond Promise program. No decisions have been made about how the program is going to work. There are a lot of design decisions that we're still trying to develop information about. Eventually, that's something that the City Council will have to sort out, and then they want to sort that out and have the benefit of community input before they make these decisions. So, but it's also more complicated than just a scholarship program. We'll talk a little bit about paying for college access from a financial perspective. We'll talk a little bit about college readiness and about how this might affect the schools and the school district as well. We have several breakout sessions. This is maybe not a typical public meeting you've gone to where you have a microphone in the middle of the room and people come up 1 minute at a time. We actually have breakout sessions where you'll be able to get your input and record that, and you'll have the opportunity to go to several of those, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later on. The breakout sessions topics, one has to do with college readiness, the other is developing a college-going culture, the other is what should the award amount be on the scholarship, and finally the fourth is about eligibility. What students should be eligible for the program. Thus far, we've been doing a lot of research, and we've had some great input from various organizations, agencies. I do want to thank a number of people, some of whom are here and some who are not, who've helped us out in terms of our research so far that allows us to present some of these options and ideas for you to react to. From the West Contra Costa Unified School District, we've had input from school board members Val Cuevas and Madeline Cronenberg. Madeline is here, back row. We also had School Superintendent Dr. Bruce Harder attend the meetings and provide valuable input. From Contra Costa College, Camille Gilberson said he said Harda. Contra Costa College can be an important partner in this program. We also tapped into some expertise of some really great community partners already doing fabulous work in the community. One of those organizations that we tapped into was an organization called College is Real. And you may know College is Real from Richmond High School. And we have Angie here today from College is Real. They've been doing a tremendous college readiness program, and they've had wonderful success getting their students into college and supporting that on a continuous basis. Richmond Community Foundation also helped us in informing some of these ideas. Richmond Community Foundation has become kind of a go-to nonprofit for Richmond. And then another organization that's been doing a lot of work around the schools is the West County Ed Fund. And for those organizations, I see Jim Becker, the Executive Director of the Richmond Community Foundation, and Robert Bunce, with the West County Ed Fund, and we thank them for their input. I won't introduce all the staff. We've actually had a lot of staff members from the City Manager's Office working on this and doing research, which you'll hear about tonight. So let me start with just a little bit of background. First of all, where did this come from? Well, this came out of an agreement between Chevron and this city of Richmond. It was an environmental and community investment agreement, and it was associated with their recent modernization project. And I do appreciate Chevron's interest in this program. They have, not only did they just sign the agreement, but they maintain now an ongoing interest in this and want to really help ensure its success. The agreement provided an initial money of $35 million. And $35 million sounds like a lot of money, but there are a lot of students. And certainly a lot of students, we hope, that will be eligible and will avail themselves of a scholarship that allows them to attend college. So our goal is to try to grow that $35 million over time to about $150 million. So we've got a long ways to go in terms of raising funds if we want to fully endow this program so that it can continue forever, as it has really in a lot of other places. Again, we're in the program design phase right now. We did a presentation, we developed various ideas in draft form. We did a presentation to the Richmond City Council on May 26th and did a community meeting on June 8th. Our proposed launch date for this is for the first scholarships to go to eligible students in the graduating class of 2016. So next year. Once again, it sounds like a long time away. We've got a year before we go. It's not, because a lot of the things we want to impact go right into place beginning in September. What we're really hoping is that the Richmond Promise program can be a catalyst for increased graduation rates. Here you see graduation rates for the various high schools: De Anza, El Cerrito, Hercules, Kennedy, Middle College Prep, Pinole Valley, Richmond. And just by example, again, there are a lot of different Promise programs nationally. We did a lot of research. One thing that we saw in looking at Pittsburgh, the city of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, that has a Promise program, is they increased their graduation rates from 63% to 71% just through the implementation of a Promise program. In other words, the incentive of providing financial aid boosted those that were interested in staying in school and graduating, and this is certainly an impact we hope to have. And it's also something that is where statistically graduation rates are different for different races, ethnicities. In Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the graduation rate for African American males went from 15%, 15%, to 30% in a 4-year period. So it doubled in that period of time. Let me talk a little bit about paying for college. Why is it important that this program be in place? You heard Jackie touch on this. The average student debt upon graduation, this is the data from California State University, University of California. One coming out of a UC program is on the average is $20,000 in debt, and Cal State University almost $20,000 in debt. By comparison, there's a fund called the East Bay College Fund, which provided 187 low-income students in the Oakland Unified School District with scholarships, with $4,000 annual scholarships, like the Richmond Promise, and their average debt for students leaving college was $3,000. So you go from $20,000 in debt under normal circumstances with a scholarship program similar to what we're talking about with the Richmond Promise. The debt was only $3,000. That's something that is manageable. We've had a lot of questions, we've done a lot of research in terms of looking at the issues about about what determines total need. Well, first, procedurally, students need to complete and submit the FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid, or the California DREAM Act application by March 2nd for each school year. And based on the information provided, the government then determines your expected family contribution. And that family contribution considers family income, students' earnings and savings, family's net assets, family size, age, number of children in college. The net cost of colleges will vary as well. So this is another consideration. We have some representative private and public schools and looked at what the net cost is on the average for various schools. And you can see actually that some of the very expensive private schools, because they provide a lot of financial aid, have a lower net cost. So it does vary, and that's a consideration in terms of how we design the program. Financial aid, of course, includes scholarships. Those are they usually have some sort of criteria attached to them. Grants are generally based on need. There's also, most colleges, or many colleges, have work-study, so that work during college as well, and that's part of the contribution. And then, of course, loans, which is really on the pecking order. That's the last thing one wants, is to take on debt. This is just skimming the surface of a very complicated subject, and we would encourage you to visit the website that we have on the Richmond Promise. And by the way, all of this information that I'm going over is on a website that you can access, and I'll put that web address up later on. So there are several goals that we're looking at in terms of shaping the Richmond Promise. One is just college access, financial. Having the financial means to attend, and to not just attend, but to successfully complete college. And it also, as a secondary goal, as we see it, it develops a college-going culture in the city, which also helps shape the school district. And these are all things that we think are very important, go into the design of the Richmond Promise program. And it's also what makes it very complicated. There are a lot of moving parts to this, and different cities have handled it differently. I mentioned that there are a number of cities that do this. Not that many, but enough to have a small network. It's called Cities of Promise. They have an annual conference, a Promise Network. They usually get about 25 to 30 communities nationwide. One of the oldest ones is in El Dorado, Arkansas. Another one that's older is in Kalamazoo, Michigan. And those happen to be the better funded programs. They started a number of years ago, and they've had enough of a track record where we can learn from them, and we can also learn from what other cities are doing, like Pittsburgh, like New Haven, Long Beach here in California has one. Denver has a scholarship program where we looked at what they were doing in terms of college readiness. But we also found that there's not one particular cookie-cutter approach that works. They're all a little bit different. Some are so-called first dollar in, some are last dollar in. All of them have, or most of them, not all of them have some degree of partnership with their local school district, and in which the school district plays an active role in managing the program. 12 of the 17 cities that we looked at had nonprofit partnerships to support college readiness and social services. One thing that is important to mention here is that the Environmental and Community Investment Agreement, the agreement with Chevron, actually requires that this program be administered by a separate nonprofit entity. So it won't be directly administered by the city of Richmond. It'll be administered by a separate nonprofit program, but these design attributes we want to get in place and so that when the nonprofit administers the program, that they know exactly what to do and how to do that. Some of the programs create a partnership with the schools of higher education. There are some, for example, that have a specific relationship with a college or university, and that's the way they administer their Promise program. The scholarship is only if you attend a certain college, but it does guarantee financial wherewithal to attend. So these are the primary goals that we have identified in terms of wanting the Promise to impact. First is to access college readiness preparation. We want to try to increase graduate rates from high school. We want to increase the number of graduates that are UC and Cal State eligible. We want to increase the number of individuals that attend accredited four-year universities and also community college. Community college is an important piece of this. And we want to increase the number of young people that complete a bachelor's degree. So again, not just attend, but complete a bachelor's degree or an associate's degree or a career and technical education certification. So a vocational certification. That's also something we see as being very important. There are some secondary goals having to do with the school district being able to have the means to support students as they take on these goals. Increase enrollment and resources for Contra Costa College to support the Promise Scholarship Program. We'd like to I think that broader goals, increasing the economic well-being of Richmond and improve the health and quality of life of Richmond. I don't think that those are goals that cannot be achieved through a good, well-administered scholarship program. It can have really some very fundamental changes in the community. All of these things work together, providing a college readiness program in the schools, developing a college-going culture, inserting the Richmond Promise scholarships to provide the financial means, and then aligning all of these resources to make it work. In terms of college readiness, some of the ideas that we've talked about are developing future centers. That's something that came out of the city of Denver, or Denver's Promise program, where they have developed and branded future centers that are focused on getting students ready for college. And it's just not senior year, it's just not junior year. It's something that is throughout. Having a college prep curriculum throughout the organization or throughout the district. There are some opportunities for dual enrollment with Contra Costa College. Having STEM, the science, technology, engineering, math initiatives, and programs for inclusion. Obviously, we want to have a network that supports this. That from kindergarten all the way through high school, and it can be all of these things are very important. Believe it or not, in El Dorado, Arkansas, the El Dorado Promise, they make it a point to go to every single kindergarten class in the city because they want to start the kids very young, thinking about the fact that they're going to attend college. They start in kindergarten, and they actually hand out shopping bags and little tags to say, "I'm going to college." That's the mindset that they have in El Dorado, Arkansas through the El Dorado Promise. It involves mentoring, peer support, parent engagement. There are many factors that go into providing this college-going culture and the related support. All of these things need to work together, and they need to tie into the colleges and universities. One of the things we want to be able to do also is to have good partnerships with the state university system and the University of California, as well as Contra Costa College. Contra Costa College, I mentioned, has the career and technical education certificates. I won't go over all of these, but this is something that four-year colleges are not for everybody, and this is certainly a career pathway. These are all career pathways that can be important for those that have those in mind. In terms of the financial means, it includes more than just a scholarship from the Richmond Promise. We think it will be important for students to access as many financial resources as possible. We think that every student should still fill out that FAFSA and Dream Assistance application, because what we want to try to do is make sure that we stretch the dollars that are in the Richmond Promise as far as possible. If one is able to get a grant that they're eligible for, then that provides more dollars for classmates to attend college. So this is really a shared value that we want to try to achieve. And it also includes providing support for financial planning, and of course, finally, the Promise Award can fit into that. We're developing a number of different options for what the award should be, and there's a lot of different points of view about how this should be structured. There's one option would be to have UC and private schools provide a maximum $4,000 grant. Cal State University a little less because it tends to cost less. But as you saw earlier, when you factor in financial aid, it comes out different. So that may not be something that we want to do. Contra Costa College, local, less expensive. We were thinking as an option that would be a lower amount than the other schools. Another option would be, again, having UC and private schools and Cal State all the same, because again, it'll vary based on the different aid that students receive. One of the factors that has received a lot of focus, and that is on eligibility. And again, we're still collecting information on this. We're still collecting ideas, and we want to hear from you. One of the things that a lot of the Promise programs do is they require that one access the funds within 1 year after graduation. So after you graduate from high school, you can take a year off, but the idea is that only 1 year off, and then the expectation is that you tap into the scholarship funds. The idea also is that you use the funds, accessing the scholarships, within a certain period of time. We talked about 3 years at a community college, or using it within 5 years to complete a bachelor's degree. We have suggested that the Richmond Promise not be used for fully online programs or at for-profit institutions. We have suggested that the scholarship be available to all residents with no means testing. By that, a lot of the Promise programs throughout the country, they require a 3.0 grade point average or a 2.5 grade point average. And what we have at least suggested, and we certainly want to hear your comments, is not having means testing other than financial. So the idea is if you can get into college, you have the financial means to go, but there's no threshold grade point average on that. The Promise, again, limited to residents of the Richmond, that's as defined in the Environmental and Community Investment Agreement, and also to students who attended eligible West Contra Costa Unified School District schools. And the eligible schools is one of the things we want to hear from you. In terms of one of the issues that we've heard a lot about is, should there be charter school eligibility as well? Should there be private school eligibility? All these things are things that we want to hear from you about. Other communities also have developed a sliding scale depending on how long you attend the public school system. So the idea is that if somebody goes from kindergarten through 12th grade, in other words, all 13 years, in the West County School District, they have access to 100% of the scholarship program. But if somebody decides, well, I'm just going to come in for my junior year in high school to try to get access to the Richmond Promise funds, then they wouldn't be eligible. So there's a sliding scale. The idea is then that you want to have the scholarship reward those who, not really reward, but actually takes into consideration how long somebody has been in the school district. Yeah, this is something that other Promise programs have done, and they've done that successfully. Certainly, it becomes something you want to take care of from a data perspective. Right now, Richmond Public High Schools and charter schools, these are the ones that are in sort of consideration. You can't see this slide, but we're just now, and in fact just today, which is why it's in this form, starting to get information on Richmond charter schools. We're starting to get enrollment data on charter schools. And the one thing that you might be able to read is that the school district is predicting that area charter school enrollment double by the year 2019. So it is a clear policy consideration for the Richmond Promise program. This is our timeline to be able to launch the program by 2016. Right now we're in that blue area doing the information gathering. We're still trying to develop some partnerships, and we are wanting to bring a nonprofit involved, have that nonprofit hire staff so they can administer the program and have all that ready by September so that the program can launch, because during the school year, once again, there are FAFSA, GREMAC forms to fill out, there are application periods. We want to make sure that there's mentoring to the extent that we can get it into the schools. Certainly there's some networks that are already established, but there's plenty of work to do to make sure that this goes well. So once again, just wrapping up here, is we really want your feedback through these community workshops. A lot of what you're hearing is, for those of you who attended the last one, you're hearing a lot of the same information. And for those of you first time, you haven't missed anything. And we still want your comments. We're also going to continue doing interviews with stakeholders. So our information gathering is still out there. And we also want to talk to students over the summer to help inform how the program is designed. And then finally, just one thing I wanted to bring up is at this last Tuesday City Council meeting, the City Council decided to form a formal ad hoc committee that would consist of stakeholders, residents. It's fairly broad in terms of who's on it, but they're looking at potentially somewhere in the range of 12 to 15 representatives on an ad hoc committee that would meet, and this is what they've indicated, no more than 6 times, and would finish their work by the end of August. So the idea is that there's a short, intense focus on all these design decisions that would help inform the program design. The City Council will also hear, we're scheduled to go back with the results of these community workshops to the City Council also in July, so that they can hear what the impact or the input is that we're getting. Certainly this will be shared. This is something that the ad hoc committee members will want to know about. If you're interested in serving on the ad hoc committee, there is a way to do that. I don't have it in front of me now. We'll come back later and announce that. But again, that's something you might have some interest in. Tonight, we again are going into 4 different groups, and we'll announce what those are in just a moment. But these are some of the this is some of the feedback we got at the first workshop, just to whet your appetite a little bit. Group A, which had to do with college readiness, talked about supporting and engaging caretakers and community members as being a very important attribute, getting more people involved. They also talked about consistency and continuity in counseling for college preparation as early as elementary school. These were some of the comments that we heard. The Group B, which was to develop this college-going culture, talked about needing to demystify college and families. We heard Jackie talk about this was, she was the first person from her family to attend college. This is all part of developing that college-going culture. That kids need to be exposed at a young age. Talked about El Dorado, Arkansas, where they hand out buttons to kindergartners saying, "I'm going to college." That's that college-going culture. Group C last time was focused on how much should the award be, what consideration should there be. One of the comments we got is that it should be the same amount for all 4 years, whether it's UC or Cal State University. We heard that there should be a sliding scale perhaps developed based on the cost of the institution. Then finally, on eligibility, we heard individuals say that this should include charter schools. This should be not just limited to the traditional public schools, but it should include charter schools as well. And we also heard that school attendance should be a part of the criteria. So not just if you get into college, you're eligible for the award, but you have to demonstrate that you've attended school, and that should be something that is considered. So again, these are ideas that we heard, and hopefully we'll get more comments like this that can help us shape the design. So my formal presentation is done. I'm sure you're glad to hear that. As I went through a lot of this is very complicated, went through it very fast. This is available also on our website. We're going to break into groups shortly, and I will turn it momentarily over to Gabino Arredondo to go over that. But before I do want to come back and acknowledge Councilmember J.L. Myrick, who's here, who can do some perhaps abbreviated, not abbreviated, he just went like this, so he's saying abbreviated. I'm not allowed to say that to my boss here. But after the fact, welcoming remarks by Councilmember Myrick.
Thank you, Bill, and thank you all for being here. Sorry I was a bit late. I was on the freeway Thursdays coming back from my day job in Oakland. Always take a long time. Again, there's not much to say that hasn't been said, that I didn't say at the last meeting or that Bill hasn't gone over. It's just exciting to be in this place where we're so close to getting this done, and really being in a place where we can get all of your input to make sure that we make this program as strong, as sustainable, and as inclusive as possible. So there's a lot of details that still need to be worked out, and we're looking forward to working them out, and we're looking forward to having your input as we do that. But again, my focus is making sure we get this done so that we can make sure that the class of 2016 will be the first class that really benefits from this. And so, there's not much more to say than that. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your input. And thank you for your support of this program by being here. And, together, again, what we're talking about here, beyond what we do specifically with this specific program, beyond what the city does with the money, what we're talking about here is changing the culture. What we're talking about here is making Richmond a college-going culture, a city where everybody knows that every kid is expected to be planning for college. And that's going to require every adult's support of every single young person to make sure that they are ready and that they have the support necessary. So I'm glad that there's so much participation, because we're going to need to sustain that beyond the building of the program. But once the program actually becomes real, we're going to need your support then to make sure that every single young person knows that this is there for them, understands what they need to do to benefit from it, and is ready to succeed. So thank you all.
Thanks, Vice Mayor Myrick. And as Gavino's coming up, just one thing I wanted to mention about the Vice Mayor. Shortly after he was appointed to the City Council, initially appointed, we had a meeting and he came into my office and had a binder, and it was about the Richmond Scholarship Program. This was something that was clearly a goal of his years ago when he first had the chance to present it, and then he went out and helped get the money for it. So I think it's important. Thanks again, and I'll turn it over to Gavino.
Buenas noches. My name is Gavino Redondo. If I could please have all the facilitators go here to the exit sign. Like Mr. Lindsay said, we're going to have a working meeting. We're going to want to get your ideas in these different 4 sections that we went over in the PowerPoint presentation. And for those people that attended the first meeting, right, you had an opportunity to go to 2 groups, right? So we have a total of 4 groups. So we're promoting people that went to 2 groups last time to go try 2 other different groups, and then you'll be able to hit all the 4 groups, right? But if you want to stay in the group that you thought was most important to you, feel free to do so, but hopefully you're able to try and see the other 4 groups, right? And the other thing is that you're going to have multiple ways to give feedback. Today, we're going to be giving a small group feedback, and also we're going to have, you go to www.richmondpromise.org, which I believe is, I'll put it up here after. People can also give their comments online. And we have like a Google form where people can give your comments, right? So we're going to have 4 groups, and they're right here. And most of the rooms are going to be outside. The big group is going to, one group is going to stay here. And if you go outside and to the right, we're going to have our facilitators here meeting, what's it called? You're going to be able to follow them. And we're going to break up. And then you're going to have about 20, 25 minutes, and then you're going to have an opportunity to go to the second group. And then after that, we'll come back here, and I don't think there's any more burritos, so I think everybody ate them all, right? I didn't get one, so what's it called? We'll see if we have some more water for you. So we're going to start with Group A. That's going to be college readiness. The facilitators for Group A, can you please raise your hand? All right, so Jansen's there, Paige is there. And they'll be talking about college readiness, so the future centers and academic preparation, more of the things related to kind of 9 to 12 grade. Group B is going to be college-going culture. So we raised Group B. We got Alex, Shani, Robert. Group B, college-going culture. So this is going to talk about more about how do we implement the college-going culture, which Vice Mayor Myrick said throughout from K to 12. C, the money group. What's it called? Award amount. Shasa, Bailey, Angie. We'll do that group. Group 107, the rooms are right there. And the last group, eligibility. Who's going to be eligible for this award? We'll stay here, but we want you to come to this section right here first. And Jim Becker will do that group with Janet. And if you could please break up, and thank you for coming.